How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of Pokemon 2019. Today I'm going to be covering episode number 10, which involves Ash and Go heading to the Dragonite Island to investigate. And this was a pretty solid episode. A lot better than the last two episodes. And I hope more episodes are like this one. Not to mention, Ash caught a new Pokemon. Spoiler alert. Well, it's in the title, so yeah, he catches a frickin' Dragonite. That's a pretty strong start for Ash in this series, that's for sure. He's already been portrayed as being very strong in this series, and, well, why not give him a Dragonite? Might as well give him a Tyranitar next. But anyways, before I get into the review, I just want to say, if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe as I cover the Pokemon 2019 series on a weekly basis, or whenever the episodes come out. Anyways, on to the review. Now, this episode starts off at the Sakuragi lab, in which Ash, Go, and the others are watching a news report in which a man states on the news that he was saved by a Dragonite at sea. Something happened to him, doesn't really specify, but he was rescued by a Dragonite at sea. Professor Sakuragi then notes that Dragonite in these areas, in these seas, are known to save people that are potentially in trouble. Something happens to them, either they're shipwrecked, or they're lost at sea, or something else. But they're basically being rescued by these Dragonite. And it's rumored that there's a Dragonite Island where Dragonite can be found, because Dragonite normally aren't found in the wild, but there may be an area or an island where Dragonite might be roaming in the wild. So Ash and Go decide to investigate. Now, it doesn't really specify where this island's at specifically, so I'm just going to assume that this is in the seas past Vermilion City. Now, before Ash and Go set out for the Dragonite Island, Go reveals to Ash that he actually brought a ton of Pokeballs, so he can basically complete the Dragonite evolution line. And he decides to catch a water Pokemon first, so they can set sail for the island, in which he tries to catch a Dugong. Unfortunately, this Dugong is stubborn, and it takes every single one of Go's Pokeballs to catch it. But he gets it, so the two set off for the Dragonite Island. Unfortunately, the Dugong actually finds a female Dugong and decides to swim after it, unfortunately leading them to a storm, in which they get caught in the storm, and unfortunately they basically get knocked off the Dugong, get separated from it, and before they actually potentially could drown, they are saved by Dragonite. Now, while Ash and Go were basically setting sail for the Dragonite Island, it's revealed that Team Rocket conveniently were also going to look for the Dragonite Island so they can catch all the Dragonite and Dragonaires and Dratinis. But yeah, they're basically there because plot. Now back to Ash and Go. As they wake up after being shipwrecked, they actually discover that not only were they rescued by Dragonite, but they're actually on the Dragonite Island itself. Go, being Go, wants to capture the Dragonite evolution line. Unfortunately for him, he wasted all of his Pokeballs on Dugong, which he unfortunately has now been separated from. Ash offers a Pokeball, but Go turns it down and tells him to hold on to it as he might use it later. Now back to Ash and Go. As they wake up after being shipwrecked, they actually discover that not only were they rescued by Dragonite, but they're actually on the Dragonite Island itself. Go, being Go, wants to capture the Dragonite evolution line. Unfortunately for him, he wasted all of his Pokeballs on Dugong, which he unfortunately has now been separated from. Ash offers a Pokeball, but Go turns it down and tells him to hold on to it as he might use it later. Now back to Ash and Go. As they wake up after being shipwrecked, they actually discover that not only were they rescued by Dragonite, but they're actually on the Dragonite Island itself. Go, being Go, wants to capture the Dragonite evolution line. Unfortunately for him, he wasted all of his Pokeballs on Dugong, which he unfortunately has now been separated from. Ash offers a Pokeball, but Go turns it down and tells him to hold on to it as he might use it later. Now, the next segment is really interesting, as Ash and Go pretty much fulfill their roles as researchers here. Go actually takes quite a bit of pictures here to show back to the Sakuragi lab. Some highlighted moments here include Dratini and how they shed their skin, and how the shedded skin is basically used on high luxury items. How the Dragonair basically learn how to fly via Dragon Dance, and basically how the storms that are surrounding the island are created. It's basically forming clouds around the island, where the island is actually fine, but there are a bunch of storms surrounding the island that keep people out from the island. Now, as they head back to the beach, the Dragonite realizes that there's someone in danger at sea and heads off to go save this person. However, the Dragoneer that's with the Dragonite, and that's been with them the whole time, is unable to fly. It doesn't know how to fly yet, so Ash decides to train with it and help it fly. That's when we learn that, or Ash and Go learn that the Dragoneer can only fly once they've learned Dragon Dance. So, Ash decides to teach Dragon Dance to Dragoneer, and he does so in the most unorthodox way. He has Pikachu use Electroweb on a bunch of rocks, and Ash has the genius idea of jumping into Electroweb. This, however, motivates Dragoneer, and it jumps into the Electroweb itself, and eventually it learns how to fly and learns Dragon Dance. It does so conveniently, as we find out that the Dragonite that went off to sea to help somebody, turns out that the people that the Dragonite went to help was actually Team Rocket, who in turn captured it. So Dragoneer needs to go and help Dragonite. Unfortunately, Ash can't ride Dragoneer, as it's too slippery. Unfortunately for Ash and Go, they actually come across a dugong that they got separated from earlier that Go caught, and that's when they ride out to sea to go save Dragonite. Ash and Go then catch up to Team Rocket, in which Team Rocket do their motto, and they get their gotcha machine. This time around, they get only one Pokemon, a Wailord. And this Wailord only knows one move, apparently. Splash, Flop, or whatever the move is. It only has one move. And Team Rocket commands Wailord to use Flop. Unfortunately, it's to their own detriment, as it affects every single person in the water. Eventually, Pikachu is able to free Dragonite with Iron Tail, in which one of the sticks actually lands on top of Wailord. This Wailord is so weak, one little stick causes a lot of damage, and it causes it to freak out, and it does another flop. This time, it actually launches Ash into the air, and seemingly to his impending doom, that's when the Dragoneer that he was training previously to fly actually evolves in the Dragonite in order to save Ash from his impending doom, in which he does. And right after that, the Dragonite shows up right in front of Team Rocket, basically pulls up right in front of Team Rocket, and shoots a Hyper Beam at them point blank, and causes them to blast off. Now before they can leave, the Dragonite, or Dragoneer that Ash trained that evolved in the Dragonite, that just evolved in the Dragonite, actually goes up to Ash and hugs him, and that's when Go realizes that Dragonite wants Ash to catch him, in which Ash proceeds to do that, and just like that, Ash has a frickin' Dragonite. How awesome is that? And the funny thing is, the Wailord that Team Rocket had they're actually still on that Wailord, and it's seemingly celebrating. Not probably just because of the capture, but maybe perhaps it's because it's finally free from Team Rocket's grasp. I'd say so. And the episode comes to an end with Ash and Go returning to the Sakuragi lab, presenting their research and showing off Ash's new Dragonite. And this is a pretty big deal. This is a big discovery. The assistants note this, but Professor Sakuragi decides not to release this to the public, noting the mystery around it, and that it will draw people just based on the mystery around the island. Also, he probably realizes that the Dragonite probably wouldn't like people frequently visiting the island, so he decides not to release it to the public, which Dragonite actually likes, and that's where the episode ends. So I think we can all agree that Ash catching Dragonite was definitely for the best and the highlight of this episode, as a lot of people, including myself, were going into this episode expecting Go to catch Dragonite, because that's what he's been doing this whole series, just catching every Pokemon until he catches Mew. So you would expect him to catch this. However, I like how the series threw a curveball, and no, it's not Go that catches the Dragonite, or the Dragonite line. Ash actually catches Dragonite, and I have to say, it's a nice addition to his team, as I never thought that Ash would actually catch a Dragonite at this point, so I'm actually pleasantly surprised with this, and that was a very good decision on the writer's part. I think they probably realized that giving it to Go probably would have angered people, so giving it to Ash, the champion of Alola, was a good idea, in my opinion at least, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people liked it as well, as it was trending on Twitter this morning. And not only that, but Go's capture in this episode wasn't that bad either, because some of the captures in the series so far have been, useless. They haven't been used a lot. These Pokemon just get caught and then they just disappear. They're pretty much useless. I don't really like that. So at least Go's capture in this episode was worthwhile, and he used it to get to the Dragonite Island. And it was useful for Ash and Go getting to Team Rocket, so I'm satisfied with it. If I had any problems with this episode, it was probably Team Rocket themselves. As this series, I'm just not a big fan of Team Rocket. The Gotcha Machine is interesting, but it's kind of a downgrade from what we got in Sun and Moon. Not only that, I like the fact that Team Rocket bonds with their Pokemon. And the Gotcha Machine, although it adds variety to Team Rocket, it takes away the Pokemon they bond with. So if I had a negative, that's probably it, and that probably just loses 1 point. Other than that, this episode was fantastic. So that's all I got for this review. Overall, a fantastic episode, and Dragonite is a nice addition to Ash's team, and hopefully, he shows off this Dragonite to Lance and Leon in episode 12. So I give this episode a 9 out of 10. So guys out there, what'd you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and be sure to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all later.